Hey, Superior Shave fans, not humans. How you doing? This one is for Radford, VA. Radford, VA. This is your Tiers Isard Le Grelot. And I'm going to hone it with these little blocks of lapping film that are on a shaped piece of acrylic. Because it works so damn fast. This green one is 30 micron film, about 600 grit. Alrighty. And the shape going down the 4-inch axis of that block of acrylic is 6.5 feet diameter and 25-foot diameter going across the 1-inch axis. So it is an ellipse shape. You can go on the superiorshave.com and search up the term the Jarrod plate, J-A-R-R-O-D, and you can buy a shaping mechanism that will allow you to shape blocks of wood or acrylic or whatever you have to have this magical form. I am looking for this very fast diamond film to overtake the factory bevel from Tiers Isard so that it becomes more concave. And what you look for when you're using this lapping film anyway is that it makes a burr. When you're moving left to right along the edge as opposed to moving this way toward the edge, you end up gathering a bunch of super thin metal like a wire or a fin or a burr, and that forms directly in front of the nice concave axis that you've just created. You can easily see it, I can see it at least, with this ADOX 10X loop that I got from B&H Photo in New York for, it was expensive, I think it was like 70 bucks, but it's damn good. And it has the working distance that I want. A lot of these loops, you gotta put your eyeball right in them, or the distance from the element to where you're trying to look at the cutting edge is too short. That loop, yeah, it's $80, but your eyeball has a lot of relief on the back side, and in front of the magnifier there is plenty of space so that you don't bonk in your magnifier to the cutting edge on the razor. I'm going to take this little thingy out, hold it up to the light, bee-ba-dee-ba-dee. We're only getting a little of one, so I can go a little bit longer on this very coarse step. This is as coarse as you would want to go with a razor, unless the razor had really bad chips. And honestly, I only use this one because it's so fast. It does make microchips at the bevel, but in later steps, when we use finer grits and move toward the edge, toward the spine, we'll just brush those little guys right out of the way. I don't know if you can hear the difference, but the razor is making the sound like it's got the fin. Yes, I can feel the little fin. So, at this point, I like taking a wet slab of horn, like the Germans taught me. Right back. Got this chunk of horn here. I've sanded it down so it's pretty smooth, and you just go like this. And draw it through ever so gently. And that wipes off that little fin, but it doesn't break away the thin part of the bevel that you're trying to make, which is directly behind that fin. So your work stays in place, and the metal fin, which you could remove without the piece of horn, you could just go with edge leading strokes, even on this same stone, and they'll break off. But it's a very elegant way to do it. I'm sure a little block of wood would work also. Now we're going to use this 15 micron covered identical shape piece of lapping film on top of the acrylic. And now I don't want to make the fin again. I could if I wanted to do the same thing, but it would make a less dramatic but nonetheless still present fin. So instead I'm going to do strokes like this. Now we're carrying our abrasive action toward the spine. So there is no risk of the fin, burr, or wire edge, as you like to call it, developing at the front of the razor, because we are breaking off the razor and taking little tiny metal shards of it away toward the spine side of the bevel, and also getting embedded into the oil that I've just put on top of that film. You can see the swarf is on the other side too. Alrighty, let's wipe with the towel. This towel was clean when we just started that spot. Look how much black is already on there. And we're gonna wipe this little guy and switch to the next one, which is 6 microns. Now I did have a 1 micron block, and I shaped this to a much longer shape. The idea being that you concave the bevel with the coarser things, and then use a bigger wheel with a much longer diameter, and it would only affect the tip of the bevel. However, that film is just so thin. What happens is, on the 30 micron piece, the base substrate of the film before they spray the diamonds on is materially thicker. And as you go up the chain of command, getting finer and finer grits, the base of the film is thinner and thinner. Now the thinness of the film doesn't matter in terms of the shape that we're dominating with this 6.5 foot. That still works just fine. But the film is so wafer thin that it's easy to cut with the slightest of hand variations. And so for me, this 6 micron is more than fine enough for my last work with these lapping films. And then you could go to a flat bench stone, a conical, whatever you wanted to go to after that. You would go to something finer and something with a larger effective diameter. Woo, even that little 6 micron, look at all that steel coming off of there. But I'm going to finish his razor with this little file that I made that, I hate to admit it, it has absolutely blown me away how effective it is. It may be the best finishing thing I've ever used, to be honest. Okay. Alrighty, be right back. What do we have here? Well, the ink is fading, but this is a current production Norton flat Arkansas file, a square file that's 3 inches long and about 12 by 12 millimeters thick. And I have shaped one of the 3 by 1/2 by 1/2 facets to have a 6.5 foot diameter going down its axis, just like those 3 blocks of wood. And then the other side, this one, is shaped 25 foot going down the 3 inches and 6.5 foot going across the 1/2 inch. Lastly, we have this flat facet, the one without the ink. And I am going to finish off the razor this way, because every razor that I've shaved in doing this the past 2 weeks, I just can't believe how good it is. It's not a very pleasurable little hone to use, and I'm not even impressed with the quality of Norton anymore. To be honest, this is one of the least impressive hard Arkansas. Certainly the least impressive I've ever seen that had the Norton label. I note that even though it did come from St. Gobain Abrasives, that I am sure of, they changed their font. And the hard Arkansas, although I'm sure it's hard Arkansas, I didn't go put it in the suspension to get the exact specific gravity. But I don't have any doubts it's hard Arkansas. It's just more porous and not making a porcelain toilet sound when you tap on this little rock with like a narrow screwdriver, as much as vintage ones that were Norton, or even ones from 10 years ago that had the other kind of font. However, finding this in stock somewhere, this little Norton, by any label, is really hard. And this cost me $47 for this little thing. So it's certainly a ripoff. However, I can't argue that the results I'm getting from this run-of-the-mill hard Arkansas flat file are just extraordinary. I guess it's because of pairing it with what you see me did previously in this video. Anyway, so that'll knock off any burrs, any micro burrs, whatever, any little metal remnants from previous work. That hard Arkansas is going to brush them right off. And then I'm going to reshape the tip. I don't want that to get on my little gray thing here. I'm going to reshape the tip of my razor by first using the 25-foot arc on the 3-inch axis. You know, I don't like working with this oil like this. One of these days I'm going to cut the crap out of myself. I just know it. Anyway, at that point, let's take some of that swarf, put it on the spine, because we're going to switch to the flat side. So this side, I have it marked with Sharpie. This side is flat, and we're just finishing with a flat, hard, fine object. Because it's a flat plane, we don't have to worry about how we angle this little thing versus the razor like we did in the prior steps. Being as the prior steps, we're using an elliptical wheel shape. Remember, use going toward the spine only. All right, let me get my hands unoiled and then we'll strop. All right, Radford, Virginia. That's the Lagrolo with the brown and orange stamina wood scales. Enjoy in good health and happy shaving to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.